Mufc Realist TV, welcome. It is 1st of May. It's the calm after the perfect storm yesterday. And we are, of course, talking about the massive protest that took place. And even Bloomberg reported it, it's just been it's a great feeling to wake up today and just feeling that the end of the road is coming. So let me pause this music and let me play something else. Because at the end of the day, it is this. Listen, it's been kind of emotional, right? I have a special guest that just rocked up as well. You might have seen him on the streams in Spaces. Let me just say hello to Ahmed Sha'ban. How are you doing, mate?
I'm very, very well. Happy to be with you, Mick. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Tired, sir. Very tired.
Always in.
It's been for me. Just for the information, it's this. I demonetize my platform, not to make any profits, because I don't want to have clickbait whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, it's been all about this protest for me for the past 10 months, at least, when I've been working on these GlazersOut reports. And I've been doing 90 odd videos. If you go into my channel and just go on the hashtag GlazersOut, and you will see the GlazersOut report, been following the Glazeronomics, talking to multiple people in the industry, and we're coming down to this final crescendo. And I just want to give big up for everyone that went to the protest. I mean, before we continue, I just want to go and play this clip, right? It was because we did a live show yesterday, a kind of a watch along, and we were kind of the only platform that did this. Like, I reached out to multiple content creators to join forces, but nobody responded. So at the end of the day, we had a massive turnout for people that could not be on the ground zero in Manchester to protest. So what we did is to provide a voice for people to call in, to people to express, to get the message delivered. And it worked. We had about 5,000 on the live stream, demonetized. So you can say pretty much whatever you want to say. And simultaneously, people were sending in feeds, live protest feeds. And just let's just recap yesterday, because it was a beautiful scene. Hang on a second.
𝒂𝒂𝒏 𝑈𝒂𝒚 𝒂𝒂𝒏.
So that was a massive coverage. I mean, including to Bloomberg as well. Let's just add into what Bloomberg is having to say. I mean, for me, of course, it's always been to protect the badge in a way and protect the media spin, because I said that from very first beginning, do expect the media to spin you dizzy, right? And remember who sits at the DJ board. It's Neil Ashton, who is in charge of all the PR, because any positive PR for the Glazers at the moment, and it is positive because you generate a lot of money on the clicks, right? And it's clear and obvious that they are leaking out information to generate attraction. And I just tweeted out today, a DJ on a mad substance spinning his records on 200 DPIs. Don't be dizzy by the Pied Piper, how they spin the records, And at the end of the day, Bloomberg is the one that I trust, to be honest. Financial reports. I trust you as well, because I mean, you can just tell you what your background is for the viewers as well,
Well, I'm personally, I'm a financial analyst and a business analyst as well. Work for some financial institution. I have quite a few credentials in project management, statistical analysis, and statistical analysis based project management, such as Six Sigma and Lean. That's generally my background and my studies and education. So a bit familiar with financial markets and activities within it, and across across the board of all the markets, stocks, commodities, and
Six Sigma rocks, mate.
Yeah, it does absolutely.
It's all about the elimination and bottlenecks at the end of the day, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
Are you black belt?
I am master black belt, in fact.
You're master black belt, so don't mess with Ahmed. No, so big up, seriously, because at the end of the day, it is a community. You know, coming together yesterday was beautiful. Like, you know, I've never been so busy, like, you know, because I had nobody to be the moderator. There was like beautiful people like shouting at the hashtag #GlazersOut 𝒂𝒊𝒔𝒉 now only, Jim Sir Ratcliffe and all that stuff. It was humbling experience at the end of the day. And today I got a message from 9058 as well to personally thank as well. And 9058, there's a group of people like normal lads like you and me, people that work in different positions all around the world, that's working to one goal only, and that is the Glazers Out full sale only, right? So it is kind of a beautiful thing when people are coming together, people on the ground. We've been able to provide the platform for tell people what really is going on, mate. That's what we're here for. So whatever we're saying here, it doesn't mean that it's factual, right? It doesn't mean that it's going to happen, because people nowadays, I understand, right? The way the media is going, people are reading headlines only. They don't read articles. They want, they have some form of ADHD developed, like Doris the goldfish, you know,
Yeah.
anymore, to be honest. So people constantly refreshing feeds, and it's been like this. Same with the transfer market. Give me information exclusive now. What's going on? And I get that. I'm now trying to be humble to respond to every people's DM. But what I can do is to provide a platform like Q&As, educational purposes, like coming into a Twitter space. And what we've seen is a revolution within the fan base, that now everyone is kind of educated in, you know, NDAs and stock markets and share price, share A, share B class and everything.
Yeah.
And another thing is also that what I find beautiful, because part of my protest is also to be fighting the misinformation and the privileged media who has been profiting on Manchester United's badge by writing clickbait stories, right? It only takes one person to write something, and then you will see the wildfire and how they use creative writing to reformalize what somebody's saying to follow that lead, right? So that's why I always say, like, you know, use your logic, reasoning, and don't let fear and emotion clog your judgment. It's similar. Like, you don't go to the grocery shop shopping hungry, because at the end of the day you will end up, like, you know, with the bags full of chips and chocolates, right?
True, very true.
Nice. I hope everyone is feeling good. Whatever you're drinking, coffee, tea, let's have a sip on it.
Yeah, mine is due to arrive.
It is. It is. But let's just unpack a little bit. Like, first and foremost, I just want to say a beautiful, massive thanks for people that made their way to Manchester to protest. There was. I just want to see like what Bloomberg is saying. Like, I just gonna pull up this article. Let me just work this out, how we are going to do this. Bear with me. I am kind of new to StreamYard in a way, but yeah, here we go. Whoop, whoop. That's perfect, right? Perfect. So let's just start, like, you know, with Bloomberg, which is a financial, what can we say? Bloomberg is reporting on the right financial stuff, right? So let's play this video first, like as a recap.
Manchester United is up for sale. The Glazer family, United's owner since 2005, has confirmed it's exploring strategic alternatives to enhance the club's growth. To put that simply, it could lead to a partial or full sale of one of the world's biggest soccer clubs. So why would they want to sell now? Well, a big part of it comes down to money. The Glazers believe that the sale could fetch a record-setting deal well in excess of the $4.7 billion that Walmart heir Rob Walton paid for the NFL's Denver Broncos in August. But it isn't so straightforward. The cost of debt is rising, so it may be harder to attract bidders than it was for, say, rival Premiership club Chelsea sold back in May. And how do the fans feel? Well, the Glazers have never been more unpopular, but a big concern is who they would sell to. One of the reasons that the Glazers are so disliked is that their initial takeover of United is debt-funded. That means they've had to take more than $1 billion out of the club over the years to pay interest on that debt, money that could have been spent on the squad or improving the stadium. If they find a buyer who also funds the deal with debt, such as a private equity firm, they may need to take even more money out of the club. For all of their dislike of the Glazers, Man United fans may find themselves in a worse situation.
And there you have it. Ahmed, you that understand exactly what she said here, like, you know, with the equity firm. I mean, she kind of unpacked it very, very nicely there, like, to be honest, mate, you know?
Yeah, true.
So,
Especially the part that when she highlighted the problem with the cost of borrowing rising.
can you explain a little bit more in layman terms what that means? Like, you know, you coming from the financial banking industry.
Well, the thing is, when the inflation hits record heights, the central banks starts to do an opposition to what has been happening that has caused this inflation. What caused inflation is the amount is spending, the money being printed, and all of that, which happens during a cycle called quantitative easing. And that quantitative easing, in a very simple word, is that you just print more money and they spend more in order to advance businesses, to make the economy flourish, and to allow faster dynamic of, you know, the money flow, liquidity flow, in order to enable every corner of the economy to behave and function faster. And during the inflation hits high, the opposite happens, which is called quantitative tightening. And that they strike the economy with something called interest rate. So in order to go and borrow money that you used to borrow before actually in some cases in a zero interest basis, they make it extremely expensive to do that now, which
100%.
makes a lot of people unable to do that.
Yeah, 100%. And we are kind of living in a global recession time that's kind of bigger than the recession what you saw 2008. So borrowing money is not the way to go nowadays. Like, you know, as people, normal people like lads like you and me, we have to sort of oversee our finances. Like, you know, should we invest money to buy Manchester United kits, invest in tickets, season tickets, or should we choose to put money and food on the money on the food on the table, right? It is kind of very unprecedented times as we speak, but therefore it doesn't make sense, because if you look at something that people don't talk much about, and I've been talking about it, is that who makes the profit out of this sale, right? You know, rest assured that the Rain Group, they have a commission rate on top of whatever they're trying to sell, right? I don't know, nobody's seen how much, but usually it's about 4 or 5%, right?
It could be.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have the Bank of America, which actually owns the overall bond, the debt of Manchester United PLC, because they have been the major credited bank, right?
Yeah.
So let's break that down, like, you know, because Malcolm Glazer basically came in as an investor post 2005, and he had 20% of approximately 20% as a minority investor into the club. Now, when you do a minority investment, it's like you buying crypto or any stock for long-term investment. You might see this grow, right? Within 5 years, your stock evaluation, your portfolio has gone up, what, maybe 30%, whatever.
Right.
But for some default, 2005, he got the opportunity to become majority, and this through what you call it, a leverage buyout. And what he did was basically borrow money from Bank of America, but not on himself, but use that as a leverage, as an asset, to put it back to Manchester United. So it's basically me going to you, buy your house, and putting back the debt on you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So that is something that it's criminal, according to my opinion, and something that they got away from, right? So where we're seeing this, where we are now, if we're going to bring it to where we are now, in a layman's term for the viewers, is to say that this media spin to say that we know that Glazeonomics money talks, right? At the end of the day, if you were a potato farmer, I'm sorry, Glazers, I don't have any sympathy, but I call you poor billionaires, potato farmers. There's a level of richness in billionaires club, right? And Glazers are at the very bottom of that pyramid, and then you have multi-billionaires that can control the world. You know what I mean? It's like seeds, it's crumbs, right? So basically what they're trying to offer in that case is what they're trying to say, here's a couple of seeds. You will not have any, you know, voting rights. You will not have any dividends to take out, because what you did for the past 18 years was taking out 4 times a year, it's like dividends payment to feed your cash cow, like, you know, to feed Darcy and all that kits and all that jazz, right? This is what they were using it for, basically. They never invested anything into the club whatsoever. And part of what Bloomberg is saying, they miss the point is, why are they selling the club? Because all of a sudden they're forced to dip into their own pockets. They are forced, and they're not willing to do that. And therefore they went into a, what do you call it, strategic investment to explore the opportunities. But what's so interesting, Ahmed, is, well, that during these strategic investments, all the bidders and hedge funds it was like an open heart surgery, right? You're allowed to open up the bonnet of your Rolls Royce to look what's under the hood. And what you saw there was rusty parts. Yeah. And who would then put in money to a business that's been badly run, right? You cannot even hardly run your finances. And if you look at Glazers economics back in US, it's all tied into assets. They're also in financial trouble over there. So if somebody then comes in to offer you this, like, here's a couple of seeds, hopefully it will rain, you might have bad crop, but within 10 years, maybe your hope that the evaluation of the club, what you invested, will be 10, 15 billion. Or option B, Sheikh Jassim comes in. He spent numerous hours overseeing everything, which is called a due diligence checklist, which has been going on for the past 4 weeks. Not even because it's Ramadan, because people are actually working there as well, including yourself. You work there as well, so there's non-Muslims that's part of this team as well that's working, right? Business operations doesn't stand still. So it's been that kind of due diligence checklist during this kind of mini exclusivity, like, what about this, what about that, what about that, until you come to a final agreement, which is called the letter of intent, right? And you know what a letter of intent is, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, we
So
have a different word for it.
Yeah, so for viewers that don't know what a letter of intent is, that you kind of come to an almost not a legal agreement, but it's kind of like, okay, we agree on the sales price, we agree what the earn-out clause will be, we oversaw every single aspect of this whole deal, which is called the package, right? The package.
Yeah.
Now I find it very, very interesting that the so-called sports journalists came out on Thursday or Friday treating it like a deadline. Like a transfer deadline, to say that the evaluation is lower of Sheikh Jassim. And I said, well, hang on a second, Mr. Keegan, sorry, what do you mean by evaluation? Well, you looked at the evaluation of the overall, what the club is worth, but what about the rest? What about the package? What about what you're offering as a contingency improvement for the Glazers to do business? This is nobody's reporting this, right? It is just sheer diabolical, for my opinion, because at the end of the day, if I receive a bid, Ahmed, I will compare apples to apples, and I will always see, like, okay, well, this is offering me this lower evaluation of my share prices, right? But this other one offers everything else around and offers me to continue to do business by opening doors for me to do business deals in Qatar, for instance, or fracking. And on the other hand, if you look at Qatar, they are one of the major asset-rich in gas and petrochemicals in the world. And they could easily go to Sir Ineos to say, look, if you let us have this deal, we'll let you in some projects here to do some fracking or into your company. So I'm just trying to unpack it, like, to say that everything else is just media spin at the moment. Like, what's going to happen next is something that I like to share with you, Ahmed. This is the contract and conclusion phase, right? So during this period of time, in the bidding sales process, they've been concluding is that share deals and asset deals, of course, everything is tied into it, right? This is part of the bidding process, right? And what we're talking about before is the letter of intent, where you have the due diligence checklist. I will just back the slide one more slide to say that, it's the due diligence, which is the due diligence checklist. And this is the period you have the time to, okay, what about this? What about the share prices? What about the B shares, A shares, on that jazz, right? And during this period of time, you also submit your shadow directors, who is going to be involved in 92 Foundation or Sir Jim Ratcliffe's team. That needs to be submitted to the Premier League, to the UEFA, to the government, and all that, right? Okay, I'm trying to sort of slow myself down because I have too many coffees this morning anyway. So the letter of intent, what I'm trying to say is basically you then, when you come to this stage, is that you agreed on everything, the earner clauses, what will be the payouts, right? And the payouts could also be like, how much money are you going to receive tax-free under the table? There's dirty politics. Ahmed. You know, you that been in this industry, have you seen this happening before, where you have something called, like, undisclosure bid, like, what's for contingency, like, you would look at, okay, we were going to pay you this much on the share price, but on the other hand, what are you going to receive extra not paying tax, because Manchester United PLC is registered in Cayman Island, which is tax-free anyway, right? And plus you have all the siblings.
Well, absolutely. I mean, deals like that. Well, I salute the efforts that have been put into this, because even with the specialists, it's not easy to unpack it completely. It's not easy at all, because in deals like that, mergers and partnerships and acquisitions, you have teams from different partitions of the business trying to look after that. You'll have a contracting team, you'll have a legal team, you will have the business analysis team, you will have a financial teams, you will have a lot of teams. And when I'm saying teams,
And on your shirt you have team viewer.
Yeah, exactly. I believe you will have a lot of individuals involved in that in order to unpack it and get to understand the details completely and talk about it and comprehend it. However, that being said, I believe it is still for us to we will need more inputs and information from them in order to see things much clearer, because everything around it, I believe, is going to be also speculated, but the concept is there and you have laid it very, 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 very nicely, and the steps are there. But in terms of the nature of that acquisition, it's not just a business deal. There is a political aspect of the deal which is not always present in the kind of routine mergers and acquisitions and takeovers. I'm not only talking about PR and media, I'm talking about the political side of it. That's
the political side, yeah.
Yes,
it does exist. Definitely does.
It cannot, it should not be undermined. I keep repeating this word. This is the biggest club in the whole world.
Yeah,
with the biggest fan base in the whole world, the biggest sport entity in the whole world. It's not an easy thing to unpack. So you put the media there, which is, if you like what happened with Twitter, big company, a lot of people interested to know, but that is going to be only media and PR. And Manchester United is different.
Can you hold my coffee there? Like, when you mentioned Twitter, it's a great it's been political, weaponized as a political tool for controlling information. So what happened with Elon Musk? Now he owns it, and they are all pissed off because it's his tool, it's his toy, right? He can do whatever he wants. But Twitter is not really profitable. They're not making money. And the interesting part with Twitter is he did a hostile takeover. He looked at the overall evaluation. He put his bid in. But then on the remaining, to sweeten off the deal, which is the what do you call it, the earner clause, he bidded $9 over the existing share price for the remaining to do a hostile takeover. And this is how we acquired. So that he ended up buying the bird for 46 billion, and it's not even profitable. It's just for a tool. And then you can see what, okay, he's just owning it. And this is kind of similar what, I wouldn't say similar, but what Sheikh Jassim and them trying to do. They're not seeing it as a profitable, but they're seeing it as a great tool for promoting sports and promoting the region, and without taking any return on investment. Because we all cited the manifesto, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, well, Twitter's slightly different because Elon is making it. He's going to make it profitable sooner than
I'm gonna make it.
He's creating his ecosystem, and I can see everybody's spectating it. It's going to be profitable at some point. That's why a lot of people backed him. A lot of businessmen backed him. A lot of businessmen that they were not announced back this takeover, because these guys are specialized in making things profitable. He did it with PayPal. He did it with Tesla, and he could do it. He could do it with this one as well. But when it comes to Manchester United, the political side of that takeover, the interest from Qatar matches, the interests of the acquisitions that they have done before, and so many other businesses across Europe and the UK. Qatar looks for legacy, looks for trophy, looks for publicity, and Manchester United is going to absolutely achieve that for them. in the most easiest and convenient way as well.
Another thing that nobody's picking up on is beIN Sports, which is Qatari-based media company. And they are planning to host a lot of NBA, you know, WWE and cricket and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And Little Bird was whispering to me that when we're talking about sweetening the deals, meaning undisclosed bidding in a way, when you oversee the overall package, let me say that I would just use the analogy when I say potato farming, right? So if the reports is correct, what the media is saying that, you know, the last roll of the dice from Ineos and Sir Ratcliffe, you know, it's just pushing it the final can to the cliff, right? Because if you are like what you say, a boyhood Manchester United fan, and you know you want to, your manifesto is to invest in the community, put it back to Manchester, then coming out with this bid to say, well, I will keep the Glazers, like, you know, in a minority on 20% does not make sense. You know, you can just unpack it there, right? You can, like, hold my coffee, hold my beer, unpack it there. And the political and business suicide by doing so will be even harder. You can always see, like, you know, people are now starting hashtag no Jim Ratcliffe, no Glazers, you're the similar trader, blah, 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 right? So just to take over on that negativity spell would damage your own business as Ineos, right? All right. So if you're a Glazers, you were giving the seeds and say, well, maybe within 15 years, you might have a successful crop, but it all depends on the weather, if it rains, if it's sunshine and all that stuff, and depending on how the club is performing. Or B, you have somebody with endless cash reserves and national resources to come in to say, well, anyone that's been dealing with the Emiratis or local Qataris, they're not stupid. They're shrewd businessmen. Trust me. My bosses used to be like that too. They will scrutinize every single deal, and then they don't want to be taken to the dryers. You know, as what I say, we don't take us for hostage, like Manchester United said. But they have the money to do it like this, right?
Yeah.
But you just don't pull your pants down to your ankle straight away and say, here's Habibi, here's 7 billion on the table. No, you start small, right? But any instance, if they get a warning sign that say, well, your bid is currently below the winning bid, they can just go on 24 hours. Here's 1 billion more, right? And now I'll get to that point. I will get to that point because I lost my train of thought here.
I mean, that's still too early for it, because again,
it is.
What I feel it's more of a PR kind of a battle.
It is a PR battle
because things are not as clear as it should be. Not yet.
It's not as clear as it, and that's what I say. It's like a PR battle. It's like a slugfest when you have two heavyweights going for a match, and they're having a press conference and they're slugging each other off, and we're going to kick your ass, yeah, and they slap each other. It's kind of similar to what you see here. It's normal. It's called gamemanship, right?
Yeah.
But then what's really eating me alive is the poor fan base that's already divided and conquered for many years by media, because everyone wants this to happen, is that you journalists are going out there and fueling the fire, right? You know, be more sensitive, be more astute. And what I'm trying to say to people is just relax, calm, just decision will come, right? But the fear of I mean, we're kind of, as a fans, are entitled to do due diligence of the current bid, right? When I was speaking to Phil Brown the other day as well, we both came to terms to say that if this was the only bid that was 1 year ago with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and just had Glazers on 20%, everyone would jump on the bandwagon, right?
Yeah.
But we have now two bids, which is offering 100%, and one is saying, 20% with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers. But there's no doubt in my mind that whatever the Glazers choose, the Glazeronomics talks, money talks. You follow the money,
No, well, not necessarily in that case, because the differences are not really huge.
Okay, break it down.
Okay, this is Mick. I would like to say this, and I know this is quite a big word and a big statement to put out there. The takeover from Jim Ratcliffe is an existential threat to Manchester United, and I mean it. Existential threat to the future of Manchester United. Existential threat to the present of Manchester United. Existential threat to everything good we hope from Manchester United. And I know that would sound a bit biased, looking at me being an Arab and all of that, thinking that, are you thinking that maybe that's my bias or something? But it's actually not the case. And I could simply unpack it by saying that it will put the future of the club on the edge, and success in such a very competitive environment is not really guaranteed. And come a season, you might experience something similar to Liverpool, like a downtrend for a year or two. Even we had these downtrends during the most successful long-term trend with Sir Alex Ferguson. You had a small downtrend. You had an opposite trend for some time. But if you put the equity in such a verge of a collapse, under that much of financial distress, you will not be able to survive a short-term downtrend, because you will be always subject to, you need that revenue that you would get from a continuous success, a continuous qualifications to Champions League, because first of all, the club will be bought in debt. You already have an existing debt. And also, if you want to improve the stadium and the infrastructure, that's another debt. If you want to purchase more players, that's other debt. The revenues are not going to be the same. You're going through, or you're going to get into recession very soon as well. So revenues, the revenues are going to go down, earnings are going to go down. So imagine your spendings are going to be more. You will have more premium and more royalties and bounties on whatever money you're going to borrow, because it's the most expensive time to borrow money ever. But you will have to borrow money because there is no money for you to spend in order to be able to compete. That's the option number one. So you'll put the equity under so much financial distress. Or the second option is you operate it exactly the same way he's operating on Nice, like a mediocre, middle table kind of a club. This is when you can have it safe. You will not have success. You will not get where you want, but you will not be bankrupt. So it's
when you say mediocre, like, and if you said Nice, people, if you want to call in, have your say and ask questions. I'm going to get to the VAR room, basically video assistant referee, in the comments, which you guys are on there. But if you want to call in, the link is in the description below, in this video description. Also, if you go into the chat, you have the QA question, you have the link to StreamYard. If you want to come in and have a say, please feel free, because it's an open mic platform. When you come to the mediocre club, so what you're trying to say is minimum investment into the club. It's like you bought a Ferrari, right? But you don't put enough fuel into the Ferrari to be competitive to reach to, the finish line.
You put 80, Ferrari needs 90, 95, 97.
In terms of fuel, yeah.
You put diesel in.
Diesel, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what you're going to do. You bought a Ferrari, and even in the case of Jim Ratcliffe, he borrowed the money from a bank to buy the Ferrari. So he's in debt for the Ferrari, or the Ferrari is a debt, is a bond. And
you mentioned something that I forgot. Hold my beer on, sorry, not beer, hold my coffee on that bond. But let's take the analogy of Ferrari, right? Okay, yeah, everyone wants to buy that red Ferrari, the beautiful red devil Ferrari, right? Yeah, 100%. Instead of having the horse of the Ferrari, you put the devil on it, like the emblem of Manchester United, right? Everyone wants to buy it, of course. It's the biggest club in the world, generates a lot of money, like internally as well. We're sustainable enough to be running on our own football operations. But the thing is, you can buy this Ferrari, but how are you going to make it competitive, right? You don't have enough ingredients to be competitive. Don't treat it like a mediocre club, or or such a thing, or you will have somebody will have endless of resources to actually produce petrochemicals to buy that Ferrari and keep racing that Ferrari and winning, like lap after lap after lap after lap. So this is the way I see it. But in terms of, again, what you mentioned, bonds, right? Bonds is something that Bank of America has been leveraging by allowing the Glazers to use overdrafts, right? Credit after credit. In transfer market has been using overdrafts and credit, right? They never dipped into their own pocket. But that bond has interest rate as well. So what I'm trying to say before is, you got to look at who is actually profiting of this sale as well, right? It's not only the Rain Group, it's not only the Glazers, but the Bank of America will get payout on that bond as well, right? They will also walk away with profit, correct?
That's correct. Definitely. Nobody gives money for free, Mick. It's a basic of every financial transaction. Nobody gives money for free. It's an interest-based economy in financial systems.
Yeah.
And it will remain as such. You know what? Using the analogy of Ferrari, the Jassim bin Hamad takeover is literally like a man who bought the Ferrari from his own pocket, and also he owns a gas station.
And gas station. True. Listen, I have to apologize. We've been so engaging. I have to go to the VAR room and see what people are saying. Okay, let's go. Stephanie Griffin, welcome to the stream. I hope you have a fantastic 1st of May. I think it's public holiday, bank holiday as well. 1st of May. Big up Stephanie and Ahmed. Let's see. How do I pronounce your name? I think it's Greek. Nikos?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Nikos. Even Sir Jim don't offer shares to the Glazers and bought the club outright. He wouldn't be the best option for us. Just look at the team he bought in France. You mentioned that Nantes. They are 6th in France. Wasn't it Nice as well?
Nice.
Yeah. Big up, Nikos. Maybe I'm sorry if I'm slaughtering your name. I'm dyslexic as well. So Ahmed, if you can help me read some tweets. Paul Greaves, sir.
Yeah, he's saying, can Qatar afford to lose this fight? They will be ridiculed within the Emirate states, with the Saudi owning Newcastle and Abu Dhabi owning Man City. I can't see them letting it happen. Well, Paul, it's not only about like, it's not fear of being bullied regionally, but no, it's because there's history for Qatar not to lose any bidding war.
Happen. I mean, I got to pull in a special guest into the stream that just rocked up. He's probably recovered his voice. He was at the protest. Well, let's get back to Paul Greaves here and pull in Mr. Structure, sir. Big up.
How you doing? Big up, everybody.
How was your rest?
And light. Rest was good. Rest was good.
How was the protest?
The protest was amazing. It was very moving, actually. It was very moving because you saw the real frustration, you saw the real anger, you saw the combination of 18 years. Majority of people who were at the protests have been protesting for 18 years. Some people don't know that about 15 to 20,000 people left supporting Manchester United, and people fell out. So it was good to see, and then good to see what we took from the city centre. So many people leaving the pubs to basically to come out and join the protest.
I used your video in the beginning, like, you know, with your permission.
yeah, 100%. That's what it's for. For me, this is nothing about permission or not. We need to spread it wide and far. This is not about individual people, and it's about the collective and people having their voices being heard. The biggest thing for me when people go, well, what's the protest going to do? Well, it just shows you, innit? Not in my name.
It shows
you know, at the most, you're saying not in my name. And then you're also saying that, you know what, I protested against it. I didn't agree with it.
Did something.
Yeah, and that's what. And there's also like coming together. There's the part of it, and football is quite tribal, and getting together with your fellow United fans and chanting together.
The one thing that freaking got me yesterday, right? Because, you know, one thing is to organize this, and big up on 1958, which is a group of people, and like normal lads like you and me, right? It's not one single person that runs this account. There are many people that are working behind the scenes, right? To organize this protest, it's massive job. It's like, Ahmed, you in project management, you know exactly what it is to pull it through, right? Absolutely. There's a lot of planning involved, right? And to do this and to be successful and keep it civilized without any violence, it's the best outcome we can ever see, Nuruddin, to be honest as well. You're on mute, sir.
Yeah, 100%. It was good. It was really good. It was boisterous, and that's the closest we got to the stadium, the more fans that, you know, some fans met in different places. There's some photo shooting around on Twitter, And I think that photo was taken maybe at 11 o'clock. So 11 o'clock, there must have been like 600-700 people meeting at Deansgate. And I think Liverpool fans and all of that are, you know, trying to shame us. And I'm just like, wow.
Wow.
It's crazy, like how much they think that's a banter or having a dig at Manchester United. I'm like, it's crazy, because if Liverpool were protesting, I'd be supporting them regardless.
Yeah,
because
true.
You know what? We do not wish vulture capitalists on any football club, because they're not there to safeguard. And by the way, football clubs are not a business. They don't operate like normal business. They're not. Nobody's emotional about bloody Apple or Amazon. You know what I mean? There's no history. There's no connection. You know, football clubs are part of a community and part of a, like, you know, macro scale and a macro scale. You know, it's part of a community, and then with that community goes worldwide. You know, it's all different parts of the world, and football clubs have a beating heart. They mean so much. They mean so much historically, traditionally. They mean so much to people, and that is really important to differentiate. That when people go, "Oh yeah, it's business," no, the vulture capitalists came on board because of the way, the emotions, what football does with different people, how easily you can get hooked on, like most sport.
Yeah,
they come into it. I mean, when people are like, "Oh, why do you wear your yellow scarves?" I'm like, that's Newton Heath colours. Newton Heath colours is they were a railway club, you know, rail workers, a club set up by railway workers, and that's what that was. It was working class and down to earth as you can get.
yeah.
Right, the origins of who Manchester United are.
This is what it means to us, 100%.
Yeah. So it's quite surreal, actually. Like, how people go, "Oh, it's big business." Now, the way the Glazers, what they've done to us, how much they put us into trouble, and how much they've damaged the football club, and how now big business has become part of football since the beginning of the Premier League. Yeah, we need to be taken over by billionaires, because people who can actually afford the club and can come up with the investment that the club needs.
Nuruddin, can I hold that thought, and thank you for shedding your light on it. And you know, I was on your stream afterwards. When you came back, you totally lost your voice, right? Paul Greaves is saying, I just want to take two not tweets but VR room decisions here. So basically, Paul Greaves is saying, if Sir Jim wins, then United will forever be in debt. Correct. Ahmed, is that correct?
That is a sad thing about it. That's why I keep saying this. And it isn't about a side of people. It's not about race. It's not about bias. It's not about a background. I say this, and I'm very responsible for this statement. I put it out there. Jim Ratcliffe is an existential threat to Manchester United, and existential threat, I mean that word. English is not my first language, but I know the impact, the meaning.
Feel free to express yourself in Arabic to Arabic viewers as well.
I mean, I will say this is a terrible zift, khara,
Haram.
Khara, and it is
Khara, yeah.
khara, and it is extremely.
Shit. That means shit in Arabic. Sorry, khara.
Yes, that's what it means. So yes, existential threat to the stability and the probability of success in the future, even in the very near future, in a short term time, things will not go as well. And as I said, the reason being here, they cannot put the equity on edge in terms of this and everything, because we, even during the most successful long-term trend with Alex Ferguson, we had a short-term downtrends, and we could survive it. But in terms of if we were to put under this much of equity or financial pressure because of this, we would not be able to afford a year or two without being out of the Champions League, which might happen after this very competitive environment. It might happen, like ending like a difference between generation and handovers between generation, changing blood and all of that. Alex Ferguson, yes, didn't get out of the top four, but things are now different. You've got extremely powerful teams right now, so we have to be very careful.
Alhamdulillah, brother. Alhamdulillah. Look, one thing that I clearly, I have a very good photographic memory. Like, you know, and I remember Sir Jim Ratcliffe when he had that interview back, what was it, in June, July, something, when he was asked about his bidding for Chelsea, and he was asked about Manchester United, and he said one thing, interesting thing that I remember. The biggest correlation in being successful in sports nowadays is money, right? Money.
Yeah.
He said that. He said Manchester United, he said City has it, PSG has it. He mentioned a few more clubs. Newcastle has it. Manchester United used to have it, right? So
Yeah.
I see that it's the way the sport is kind of developing, that you kind of need to have, and together with the inflation and the way you bought a player like 10 years ago is not the same price nowadays. So you're looking at the 90 million, 100 millions, it's going up and up to buy transfers, right? So you need to have kind of deep pockets. But I want to go to point number 2. Nuruddin, if you want to have sort of to say regarding what I said there as well, do you agree that the inflation has gone up in terms of the transfer market, that you need to have bigger pockets?
Absolutely.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, Neymar, that was a shock, innit? That was the one that sent shockwaves. He's about 5 years ago now. He went for 200 million.
Oh, yeah. That
Yeah.
broke the
So at the
precedent
end
of the overall transfer market, to be honest.
yeah. And it's been just going up. I mean, it's ridiculous. A player was on good form for 6 months. 1 minute, if they before they find form, they're worth about 25 million to 30 million. They play well for 6 months and they're worth 80, which is ridiculous. Which is incredibly ridiculous. Player back in the day used to be consistent for 2-3 years. Then somebody would buy you. You know what I mean? And then somebody would think, okay, this guy's got qualities. He's come through difficult times, and the form's still there. But yeah, it's ridiculous now. I mean, the ideas of certain players, especially like central defending, center midfield, and defensive number 6s, how much they're worth, it's ridiculous. You cannot be worth similar to strikers.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's defenders and central midfield players are now worth or even exactly the same as strikers. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
the market is Fergie used to say the market, there's no value in the market. There's no value in the market now. Fergie was just 10 years, he was speaking 10 years into the future.
Yeah.
And by the way, that was also a cover for the Glazers.
Yeah. I'm just going to move on to the point. I mean, thanks for sharing your input. When you say no value in the market, like, I'm going to put you on the jumbotron here when I'm asking the question from Peter Graves. And I'm definitely going to put it to you, Ahmed, because you lived in Qatar, you worked and advised in Qatar. Can Qatar afford to lose this fight? According to Peter Graves, they will be ridiculed with the Emirates states, with Saudi owning Newcastle, Abu Dhabi owning Manchester City. I can't see them let this happen. And this is what we've been covering in this space, Ahmed, to say that when Qatar or any emirate goes in to bid for something, they always win. Just look at how much money they invested in UK alone, right? In terms of building buildings. Like if you look at Emirates, if you're going to London, the 2 towers is built by Emirates, Emaar company. There's a lot of investments that goes in by Emiratis and Qataris at the moment, right? But also, if you look at Qatar wanted to buy the World Cup, not get the World Cup. And in order to do so as a PR tool, they bought PSG. In order to and also spend money on Neymar and to build a PR. So if they are set to get something, they are willing to go all the way, So if they go out public, rest assured they will not get egg-faced. What's your thought process regarding that, Ahmed?
I mean, I don't find this as a motivator or the thing that's going to define if they continue fighting for the club, or if they continue fighting for that acquisition or not. I think what I'm very certain of is that the bid that is being put forward was based on a very thorough analysis and very good evaluation of the situation and the club as well. Doesn't matter how much the PR being forwarded or the PR being pushed forward. I believe they have put the valuation that they believe, which is something they have always done in every acquisition and every equity that they put themselves forward to acquire. They always put the best bid in order to get or acquire that equity. That puts some confidence in me, even with the numbers that have been leaked and the PR that has been explaining and saying that they are undelivered or under-delivered. I still feel confidence, and it's not an insight or an intel. It's just my personal opinion. I'm very confident that they will still win the race. So Can they afford to not win the race? Yes, they can. Who cannot afford it is us, is Manchester United. I think Manchester United would lose them much more than they would lose Manchester United. Not putting Manchester United, the club I love the most, down. However, it's the condition, because they know very well, full well, if you don't know your worth, if you don't know the value that you're going to bring to such beautiful, historical, unmatched equity like Manchester United, if you don't know how much worthiness you're going to add into this, is of course that of course is not going to be a positive thing on your side. But they know very well what they are able to do, and the Ferrari kind of example, analogy that we put forward is the most explaining one. They are going to buy the Ferrari from their own pocket, and they also own a gas station, so they will not need to pay anything for the bank, and they will not need to pay for the fuel, because the fuel is theirs. So you have a CEO who is the bank owner, who is a CEO of another bank, one of the biggest bank of Qatar, and behind it is going to be a central bank of Qatar. Exactly, a central bank of Qatar that has got a lot of money and a lot of liquidity, talking about $500 billion dollars. This is in the central bank of Qatar as a reserve. So this is talking about all of this together, that is puts them in the poor position to acquire this. And I think the Glazers are aware of that very well, and the differences between how the things have been laid out to make it look like, that it's Jim Ratcliffe is higher and they're low, is a very misguiding. And I hope that we have a time to explain this to people, because I think there is a lot of misleading narratives out there, and that
is you okay for him to explain further? Like, we do have time, right? Okay, please, enlighten us, because I think that a lot of people are being misled and misguided. So please, if you can shed your light on your thought process, working as in the financial industry, please go ahead. I'm excited to listen to this.
Okay, so going back to how the statement has been laid out back in December, and the Glazers put a statement containing or detailing 2 or 3 options that they are welcoming into the club. They said sale, partial sale, or investment. So they are open to the 3 of them. So in order to obtain a full sale, you have to put a bid forward to have a full sale, which is the 100% of what has been classified as a share class or class B that is owned by the Glazers. So that is a full sale. Any other thing or any other bid not in that category, not aiming into a full acquisition of that, is not a full sale, and should not be classified as one, and should not be categorized as one, and should not be competing or compared to any other bid in that category. Which is, as I told you, Qataris are very clever, and they know they are only party that was able to put a full sale position forward. You have heard reports talking about 4 to 5 billion. That is in the beginning, and then things escalated to 5, 6, and then escalated to 6, 7, and then the least or the last one that was 7 to 8 billion. Qataris are not new to this. They know it very well. They know that's all PR play and PR games, and they know that they are the only party can not only interested, but also can afford a full sale money from the parties that are there to acquire. So they put that based on this fact. So going back to Jim Ratcliffe himself has put this offer on a partial sale premises or basis. It cannot and should not. It's a degenerate and stupid mistake and error to make that. You compare this to that. That's a full sale, and that's a partial sale. They are not the same. Even with the partial sale, they will get 50% of these shares, and they value the share higher in price, but that is still a partial sale. A partial sale. If I come to your house and say, I value your house at $1 billion, but I'm going to buy only 1 room. Your house is not sold as $1 billion. That's a very simple thing. Even if I value it now, every financial equity fluctuates in price across or over time. And that is a fact thing. Stock market, the Bitcoin was 70K. Today is 25 and is tumbling more.
Yeah, you're right.
There's no fixation. Real estate, they go up and down as well. So if you value Manchester United as an equity, as a real estate equity, there is no guarantee that the price is being given now is going to be the same tomorrow.
But this is what I was doing the analogy. If you missed it before, we cannot back the live stream, but this is what I was saying. Like investing as a minority investor is like being a potato farmer. You give in the seeds, right? And you plant the seeds, and hopefully, depending on how the weather is going to be, how the crop is going to turn out, like, you know, eventually in 10 years you might have a big field of potatoes, right? But it's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. On the other hand, somebody comes in and buy your whole farm to say, listen, I understand what you want to do, but here I give you, like, you know, $7.5 billion, and plus I offer you also extra fertilizers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To fuel your farm to continue to grow and prosper. And this is what we see in those two bids when you look at it, because this is what I want to do at the end of the day. I want to set up, like, what's next, right? What is next? I mean, if we basically, if I draw a diagram, I cannot do this here, but if we just basically say we have two bidders like this, right? Let me see. It's like a T-bar, right? You see, like a T-bar, right? So we seen as fans, we seen the manifesto, and that's all that matters right now for us, isn't it? Like a manifesto. We see what one is offering and what the other one is offering is clear and obvious, isn't it? Right? It is. One is offering a full sale, the whole entire package, right? And the other one is, well, what you're saying, partial sale with still debt rolling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the borderline, or the end form and the shape of this is not. This is not the same, and that's the point I want to get to. They are not the same, and they should not be compared to the same. And as I said again, I put this analogy out there, and I said you cannot compare two different metals to one another. You cannot say that silver is not like gold. Silver is better than gold, or gold is better than silver, because they're not the same. They're completely different metals.
Juddy Sports saying here, big point. I remember this article as well, and this is something that I mentioned earlier. Al Jazeera, which is basically Middle Eastern, reported that Sheikh Jassim's bid, the United News aggregated Twitter pages are ignoring it. Yeah, Al Jazeera said that the bid is undisclosed, so lots of media just guessing or believing PR. This is what we're saying. You know, what goes on under the hood when it comes down to negotiations is a lot of tactics. It's basically like, I offer you this, I offer you that. At the end of the day, if you're selling your asset, if you're selling your house, right, you have two bids on the similar valuation to say willing to buy. It's then up to you to who you want to buy with. But it's up to me also to say, hey, I want your club. No, I want your house extra much. I'm offering this extra on the side, but don't let the other person know, right? So something that we disclosed about was to say that beIN Sports, being Qatari, they're doing like a lot of going to broadcast, NBA and all this basketball things, and and they basically come out to say to Glaze, you will have a exclusivity in America to have this, TV deal rights, right? It can be like an example, and over a period of time, this is lucrative deals we've seen. How much money are they actually generating for broadcasting rights in Premier League, etc.? You know what I mean? So this is what I'm trying to say. Don't be a potato farmer, right? Be a if you're a smart business owner, you will take the biggest what will generating the money as much as possible. And one thing that we know about Glazers is Glazenomics. Money talks. So the question is, Nuruddin, as well, if we look at my T-bar there, which way do you think this will sway? Like, from a family.
Well, it's going to. Yeah, well, it's simple for me. Like you mentioned, any debt to Manchester United. It's like Superman, kryptonite to Superman. If you mention debt, the Manchester United fans, debt is crippling, it's kryptonite. We don't get on with the debt. Debt is not something that we can ever have of our club. I try to remind people, because I'm always trying to put things in historical context. Manchester United were in debt during the wartime in the 1930s. Manchester United have not been in debt. Man United, yes, borrowed under the stewardship of Martin Edwards. Yes, we only borrowed what was in our own means, something that we can finance and pay off quickly. We didn't borrow, so this debt is hanging over us. They took out, $1.5 billion, and people go, "Oh, you spent $1 billion." What about the other $1.5 billion they took out and all other dividends? At this moment in time, we owe 307 million apparently in outstanding transfer money, and also the debt is there. So at the end of the day, the debt is clear. to me, I think we need a new stadium. I think we could do with a 100-seater stadium. The biggest thing what hurts me is that the women and the youth don't play in Manchester. They play in a small city called Leeds outside of Manchester. So those facilities need to be sorted out. And then there's all the other that part of Manchester. It's just not. I'm 15 minutes. I'm privileged. I know. I'm 15 minutes on a bike. I cycle there. I cycle to the games, and all of that side is wasteland. Really, it's all mills, all big factories. You know, when Britain used to have a bit of an industry, that's where a lot of the industry was. So all of that can be renovated. All of that can be, you know, cafes, restaurants, but you know, all of that can come alive in and around the stadium. It's just waiting for that money. It's waiting for that investment. And you know,
I'm gonna keep you there in the jumbotron for a second, because there's a question coming in for Canfield Dan. Question: What do we do if Ratcliffe will own Manchester United together with the Glazers? If that bid happens,
we're going to protest. I'm going to talk about that actually, and I need to go in the next 2 minutes, bro, because I'm doing a Straight Jacket podcast with Saeed. Right now.
Oh, big up to the brother Saeed.
Yeah.
I never spoken to him before, but give my regards.
Yeah. We what we're going to do is we're going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to fight. If Glazers, we're then Ratcliffe out. Ratcliffe Glazers out. The banner just, other than saying Glazers out, it'll say Ratcliffe Glazers out. Because he's a rat. He is a rat. If he's going to go into bed with the Glazers, he's a rat. Anybody, for me, this is the big thing about it, like, for me, is no debt, build the infrastructure, build the stadium for the women and the youth team, build the Manchester United experience in and around the stadium, make us have the best facilities, take us back there, and then you have enough money for the managers to spend. Make that available. Support the manager. If he's doing well from summer till January, go out there, get the players that he wants. You know, build the proper infrastructure. So Manchester United are leading experts in certain things, injury and rehab. Bring all of the different kind of specialists to make us the #1 football club again. There's so many different variations you can do that. Now, that doesn't guarantee if the Qatar owns Manchester United, they're going to guarantee anything. They could make mistakes. They could do, but I know when you've got that amount of money behind you, you can wish away the mistakes quickly. But if Jim Ratcliffe was to come with a debt and makes 1 or 2 mistakes, it could be sustained for the next 10, 15 years, which could be more damaging. You look at City. City, they had the 2 sporting directors, and then what happened? They would buy players. It didn't work. Get rid of them. Manchester United can't do that.
I know you got to go, but Stuart has mentioned great United supporters must follow these guys. Absolutely. Listen, before you go, you're a realist as well, like me. Cool. I've been on your show. I love your content. Where can people find you, sir?
You know what? United Real Therapy. We just hit, actually, last night we hit 7K. So
yeah, congratulations.
We're not trying to be, we're not trying to be big. We're not trying to be this. We give raw, real reaction to anything that's going on with Manchester United. We don't do any political correctness or PC. We try to educate each other and share opinions and be real and be raw. And you know what? We try not to have any agendas. We also we link football with geopolitical stuff that's happening, historical context of things that are happening. But it's funny, like, just the amount of Islamophobia is fascinating for a lot of people in the Middle East to really understand and see, those of us who are Muslim and culturally Muslim, the Islamophobia, how rife it is. Because when a lot of white Europeans go to the Middle East, they're seen as, wow, from Europe. So now you know, not everybody Islamophobic in this country, but major, huge parts of the media is and are. And it shows you the way they're reporting, the PR spin, everything that's been done. It is what it is. Partial takeover. We're not here. Full sale only. And that's what the main message from the protest yesterday. Full sale. Peace, love, light. Thank you so much, Mickey. Lovely to meet you, Habibi. Ahmed, Habibi, lovely to meet you. We'll chat. Hopefully we'll see each other again. Peace, love, light, always. Okay. Yeah, will do.
Thanks for coming, man.
Take care.
So going back to, in conclusion, in any way, you know, what we fans want and what Glazers will choose, it's, you know, coming down to what Stephanie's saying here. You know, journalists have nothing concrete to report on, right? With all speculative articles. try to enforce the answers. And we are coming to the stage where I want to pull back into this stream again, Ahmed, is 100%. I mean, this is basically, we talked about the earner clauses, like how much you're going to earn, how much the shareholder is going to get. I mean, the B share, A shares, how much is going to everyone involved in this deal going to get in the overall package, right? It's been clearly evaluated, assessed, and now it's just coming down to the contract and conclusion, right? Closing off the transaction. And this is what people are talking about. So this is pretty much the end of the road, I would say. You kick that can far, far, far down the alley, but you will eventually hit that wall with that can, to be fair. So would it be fair to say, sir, with all your due respect, that we are coming to that end of the road?
Yeah, well, if it's written in the wall, as they say. It's actually too obvious. And the only part I'm very happy about, that we are at the end of the speculative road where a lot of people say a lot of things that they're not really true. They come up with the stuff just to keep people engaged, and that is the case with journalism now. Unfortunately, that there's no real intel, which is all right. It shouldn't be a bad thing. Only if people stick to the fact that they say that's my personal opinion and that's what I think. But unfortunately, they lay it out there as it's an intel or a piece of information obtained from a resource or something, which is not the case. But we
100%.
are at the end. We are at the end.
We are at the end.
And we will know Manchester United.
It's like a Boys to Men song, "The End of the Road." You remember? All that I want is the end of the road, and I can't let go. Sorry for my bad voice. Listen, guys, for tuning in. I'm sorry if I haven't been able to cover. The VAR room has been amazing. Video assistant referees here in the chat room. Big up for all of you. Amanda Juma, I see you, my friend. I see you. Big up, go and subscribe to his channel. Yo, press the like button. Big up, Mick. Man talking facts. Men them talking facts. Big up my Jamaican boys from the Man United agenda. Go check them out as well. Paul Graves, you've been active. Call a spade a spade. Remember, the Glazers only really paid exactly £200 million with their own money. That was Malcolm that did, and now the off and the other 580 million was debt, which still stands now. 100%. Good spotting, mate. Spade. City, West Ham, Chelsea, and Newcastle. We all know where the EPL is heading. Why Manchester United be left behind another 20 years regretting this anyway? 100%, my friend. Jarvis Cocker, Jarvis in the house, my Norwegian brother from another mother. Yes, new stadium, training facilities, and the squad needs strengthening. 18 years of Glazers destroying the club. Jarvis, we talked about this the other day. Let me just quickly return back to you, because we know that the infrastructure is not strong enough, the ground beneath to reinforce, to build on Old Trafford, which is sad, right? Which is very sad. So there's a lot of legacy. There's that Mickey Phelan famous wall, like, the brick wall, the leaning wall. There's a Stretford end. There's a lot of culture. I'm twisted, but at the end of the day, you will not knock it down. You can still have it. You can have the under 21s, the women's team play on the stadium. You can still play stadiums while you build top of the art stadium, right? When Malcolm took over 17 years ago, it was the Old Trafford was a beautiful old lady. No, beautiful, shiny lady, right? When you married, she was a teenager, young. Now she's getting a little bit rusty and old and hasn't been fixed, hasn't even given makeup, pedicure, manicure whatsoever, right? And this is how I see it. It's just fallen off the cliff. And you can see that on the Euro nominations in the Euro. Manchester United, Old Trafford wasn't even on the list, which is sad, which tells you what the stadium is look like. Paul Graves again. Yeah, Sir Jim has not released a manifesto like Sir Sheikh Jassim because he cannot afford it. Good point. Yeah. What he said was to put it back to Manchester community. That's a little bit shady. Well, that's what we said. If we took the T-bar, what I did, it's simple. You can just draw a line. You can go and compare yourself to two manifestos, and then you can decide. At the end of the day, we as a fan base, we have the opportunity now to scrutinize every bid, because we are not doing due diligence to you. And what most people are saying, no, Sir Jim Rat. This is what I'm hearing from, right? Yeah, and even full sale. Yeah, full sale, full sale, full sale. Media, that's it. Pied Piper, love you to pieces. Thank you. People get those likes up. Yeah, thanks. Likes. I mean, we're not monetized today either. Like, you know, we don't want to make profit of it. Like you know, men, we're here for Manchester United. We play for the badge. We are men, women, children, all generations. We're wearing the same badge. No matter where you are in the world, no matter where you travel, you're carrying Manchester United. I mean, matter of fact, I am traveling a lot. I was in Thailand, and every person that I met with the Manchester United jersey on our cap, we stopped. Hey, brother, how are you? Hey, Manchester United, good, good, yeah. So that is the level of family that we have. You know, we got Jalle from Norway. They can alter Old Trafford, maybe make smaller stadium for the women and youth team, but we would not mind watching the big matches for the women and youth team played at Old Trafford main ground. Jarle, we've spoken so many times on this and we have people in this industry, in this community, are like working in structural engineering, structural design. And one thing is clear, like, you know, the ground, it's not stable enough, right? And to do that, it will cost you a lot of money. So would it be more sensible to sort of build a new stadium while you're still playing the Premier League games? And you can also utilize Old Trafford for concerts and all that stuff, so still generating money. Yeah, Carl Dickinson's big up, man. Big up. Man United until I die. Glazers out now. Wow, cool. Listen, I am so touched, to be honest. Yesterday was an emotional day. I try to stream as much as I can. If you missed the cover of the live protest, the video is in the channel as well. It's 2 hours raw, full of emotions and discussions about the sales takeover. Thank you for everyone that's been contributing in the chat room, in the VR. Thank you for all the massive support. For me, yesterday was not about the game. For me, it's not about the remaining games. Of course, we got to support the boys. We're playing Thursday. We are almost solidifying that top 4. It looks bright. So I don't care if the guys play on one leg, playing with a wheelchair, get us over the line, and we then can finish off by going on holidays. But for now, it's green and gold until 100% sold. And I think, just let me play this.
United are the team for me with a nickname.
Keep that protest going.
I said 𝒂𝒏𝒊𝒔𝒉. Unless you're in the world, unless you're in the white, I said 𝒂𝒏𝒊𝒔𝒉.
So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I will give you back today, Ahmed, as well. Thank you, Mr. Nerd and Mr. Structure, for coming in. Guys, like and subscribe. It's optional to you. We are a community, not a fan cam. I don't like the word cam fan. We are Manchester United community. You know, we try this to build a positive environment. We try to educate. And if you're on Twitter, please jump in anytime on the Twitter spaces where we talk about the Manchester United takeover. Because at the end of the day, we are here as a global fan base, you know, to learn from each other, to share, because football is for the people. It's not for the business bankers. Ahmed, where can people find you, sir?
Well, I'm on Twitter. As I say, it's about the community. It's not about anything else. And it was really a pleasure to be with you, Mick. And well, just want to say that people have to keep the positive mindset. And I don't want to throw bombshells, but not an intel, not information, not journalism, but I have great confidence on a full sale transaction.
Brilliant, sir. You came on such a short notice. I appreciate. I've been trying to get you on the stream for quite a while. Before we continue, there's a lot of people going in there with the support. Yeah. It's Dixon. Okay. Carl Dixon. Yeah. Sorry, mate. Sorry. I am dyslexic, for your information. People saying Qatarian. My thought was the after new ground had to build. Yes. United until I die. Oh, God. So many people coming in. Thank you so much. Big up, lads. Thank you, Pied Piper. Thank you, Carl Dickinson. Dixon, sorry again. Thanks for the video. Jarvis Cocker, big up for Norway, mate. And thank you all for coming in. Thank you so much. You know, it is green and gold until we sell, and we are coming to a full sale. I don't see the other way. And whatever we're saying here, it's not, you know, it's not being that we are journalists or anything else. We are just a genuine community discussing. We are million supporters sitting in different positions, like Ahmed itself, you know, working in the banking, finance, and stuff like that. So, guys, if you want to be part of the Manchester United Mufc Realist TV community, please like and subscribe. It really helps the community for us to grow, to continue making this educational content. But also, you know, we are red. I mean, I'm patriot red, passionate red, close to my heart, man. All we can say is we will give you back the day. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Ahmed. Please, guys, be nice to each other on the socials. Don't fight. Take a motion sickness pills. And yeah, just smile. Be happy. Don't worry. Don't worry. Be happy. Cheers, guys.
Cheers,
Thank
everyone.
you. Time to go. Time to go. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much for stopping by and watching Mufc Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.